This is Beyond Average, episode 13.
The one thing we have in this world is we can't control the events, but we can choose what to focus on, we can choose what things mean, and we can choose what to do.
Yeah.
Hey, nothing. What's going on, Anthony? Got a new guest today, Joe. How you doing?
How you guys doing?
Very happy to introduce to the program for the first ever guest, our good friend, Dr. Joe Marchitelli. What's up, man?
How you doing, Ant? How you doing, Core? It's nice to be here.
Good, man.
So, we keep talking about we want to put guests on the show. And the type of people we want to bring on are people who think like us and, have that business mindset. And, Joe certainly fits the bill. So, Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, in the past few years and kind of where you're at right now?
All right. I finished undergraduate at the College of New Jersey with Anthony. That's how I met Anthony.
Right.
It's also how I met Corey. Came a few times to see us over there. Upon graduation, I started chiropractic college in Seneca Falls, New York. Way upstate, lots of snow, not a lot to do. I just graduated in December. I got an associate's position for temporary, and I'm looking to open my own practice within the next 6 months or so.
Well, thanks.
Oh, wow, so soon?
Yeah, got to get going.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Because, traditional logic says, well, you can't do that because you got to be a chiropractor for so many years, and then maybe once you're old enough and you're experienced enough, maybe then you could even think about opening up your own practice. And Joe said, fuck that shit, Now,
is there any type of, is there any type of, rules that you have to work under somebody for a certain amount of time, or there's none of that in chiropractic? You kind of just...
There's no regulations like that. As long as I have my license, which I do, and malpractice insurance, I could open a shop on this street if I wanted to, or in Anthony's office, and it would be fine.
Oh, so you can actually do a residential place, too. It can be kind of...
Actually, there's a lot of people in the works now thinking about doing home chiropractic, traveling to people's houses and doing the work in their homes, patients that can't actually leave to come to a practice.
Which makes sense.
Well, that's good, because I know, I was going to say a hairdresser can't do that. That's illegal for them to go to a house and cut hair for some reason. But I'm glad that at least chiropractic can.
That's a funny story. It's because my sister's a hairdresser, and that's due to all the regulations on their license. And she actually said she's just now allowed to open her own shop. And she's been working as a licensed hairdresser for, I think, 2.5 years now.
Of course.
So I'm like, wow, you guys, I graduate, I could open a shop right away.
It's disgusting how some occupations like that, there's so much red tape and regulation just to cut hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, we have no regulations on a lot of other professions.
To your point, though, if your back is fucked up and you need a chiropractor, you probably can't easily get to an office. So it makes a lot of sense that...
Yes, it can be difficult, especially for older patients. Yeah. I guess they're going to try and start working chiropractic into hospitals and maybe even inpatient care for long-time care patients that can't go anywhere. They're bedridden.
Right. And it makes... you came over to my apartment the one time and you had your table with you. And it was like a professional grade table. The thing was super comfortable.
Oh yes,
it folds up into a.
They make great travel tables. You can take them everywhere. A lot of sports chiropractors will bring them to a field, just adjust patients and athletes right on the field, get them ready to go back in the games.
So here's a question I wanted to ask you, because when people get injured, a lot of time it's like they can either do chiropractic or physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And do they cross over? Is it one or the other? Can you do both? What's the difference?
There's a lot of crossover. As a chiropractor, I learn a small amount of physical therapy, like exercise and stretching, modalities such as ultrasound, cold laser, things like that. I'm not as versed in that as a physical therapist would be. So when it comes to strengthening and getting a athlete ready for the field again, that's a physical therapist's main thing. When it comes to maybe reducing pain and restoring function of joints, That's more where I kind of come in. So I'm more of the immediate acute care, and then physical therapy can work with me together to get the athlete ready to go again.
Gotcha. And is there a lot of people who do treatment with both?
Yes, the office I work in right now has physical therapy and chiropractic, and more than likely when I open a practice, I will implement physical therapy as well.
Right. Now, you said, I know your office, you do a couple different things there. Is that becoming a trend now in the business where you're kind of doing this whole pain management idea?
It is multi-specialty approach to pain and just healthcare is starting to really take off, having multiple disciplines within the same area.
Which would be what? Or what kind of discipline?
So the office I work in is chiropractic, obviously, physical therapy, acupuncture, and pain management medicine, which are typically known as physiatrists.
Mm-hmm.
Those are MDs or DOs that specialize in like non-surgical orthopedics. They do shots like epidurals or cortisone injections in minor joints,
Gotcha.
Things like that.
Cool. So let's talk about the cool stuff now, in terms of taking your career, expanding into a business, and growing a practice that way. Corey, tell me what you think, but it just goes to show that, we always talk about real estate. You don't have to be in real estate. You can be in business for yourself. The point is, are you going to take whatever you're doing, own it, and just be the best at it and grow it? We always talk about Grant Cardone, 10x, 10 times what you originally thought you could do. And it doesn't matter if you're a hairdresser, if you're a chiropractor, or you're in real estate. The principles are the same.
Pretty much.
So, what do you think about that, Corey?
Right. I was going to say, take a sister, for example, she plans to open up her own salon. It's like she probably has no interest in owning real estate or doing chiropractor. Well, you don't have to, whatever your hustle is, it is what it is. So you don't have to be in real estate and whatever we talk about to 10x, your life. So.
Yeah, it's like, just whatever it is you do, just be the best at it. And if you just have a job in that field forever, you'll make a living for yourself. You might be happy if you want, but to go to that next level, you have to own the space you're in.
Right. I was going to say is like, even when I worked at Lowe's, like, or if somebody else was, is doing a job, they know they could be doing something different, but that's all they have at that time. But be the best at that part, even if you're bagging groceries, be the best grocery bagger in the place. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't kill the job that you're doing. Like, you shouldn't be all apathetic and, this sucks. Like, that's not going to get you anywhere. So yeah, even if you're working at a food store, at least 10 extra actions to, be the best worker at the place.
And I always say, when you're actually doing a job, so when you're actually a chiropractor who doesn't own his own practice, or me, I'm a real estate broker, but I don't own my own stuff, that's a good time to learn those skills because, all the stuff you're doing now, you're going to transition that into the business, once you have your own practice. So it's so important, like when you're starting off, you have to know how to cut hair before you can open up a business. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people don't ever take that next step, which is why it's refreshing to hear someone like you come on and say, I'm opening a practice within 6 months. That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
People say it's 10 times too soon. You can't do it then. And you say, fuck that.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And, maybe it is. Maybe he could benefit by working under somebody like experienced for a while, but it's like, that's not the route that he wants to take. So he'd rather just make the mistakes and learn from them yourself, and I think it's awesome. Fuck it, fuck working under somebody.
Yeah. My only benefit was I worked under a chiro for a few years before I went, and he kind of took me under his wing and taught me some stuff. Being a doctor, you learn how to be a doctor in school, but they don't teach you how to run a business. So the importance of working under another chiropractor would be more to learn the business aspect and less learning how to be a doctor. You know how to diagnose, you know how to treat, when a condition is something you can't help. But a lot of kids have no idea when it comes to billing out your like procedures for the day, out to insurance, what insurance to accept, what insurance not to accept, how do you charge your patients, how do you talk about money, how much money does it cost to run a business, and insurance, rent, all those things just compound on, and you need to learn those skills to open a business.
Now, why is it that they don't teach you that?
They try. I guess the curriculum is so overwhelming with science and diagnostics and just learning how to deal with patients that the business classes they give us are enough to run a business, but I don't define success just by running a business and just getting the bare minimum done. I feel like you're very successful when you can push the boundaries a little bit and push yourself and become a better doctor and a better business owner because you took the time to learn the business aspect better.
And I guess they're also assuming that you're not opening your practice within 6 months. You're going to be a chiropractor for 10 years before you even think about that. So you learn that as you go. So it's like, despite the fact that they don't want to teach you that, you're going to learn it anyway and do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of self-learning, which is both of you guys do the same. I mean, you go to school. School doesn't teach you how to be successful in anything. It teaches you how to be successful at the skill that you need to do, but it doesn't teach you how to be a skilled businessman to, be successful in life.
And I was going to say, it's like, it goes back to the second grade. They teach you who the 13th president of the United States is, but when you're in high school, nobody taught you how to balance a checkbook.
Exactly.
There's no financial education in school from kindergarten on up to, even what you were doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They just barely touched on it, like you said. So I think it's a major problem.
Not only that, Joe, you can probably agree, like you said, like they're so busy with teaching other curriculum. Not only that, some of the instructors and professors maybe aren't even business oriented. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't think in that terms. That's kind of why they're teachers. They're really great teachers. They could be great chiropractors. They're great at what they do, but maybe they don't even have the knowledge of the business aspect of things. So it's kind of hard to learn. It goes back to you're not going to go to a hairdresser to work on your car and vice versa. So it's like, I'm sure they're very well versed. They're very educated, but not all of them owned the business before. They have no idea how businesses work, and it doesn't mean they're stupid. It's just that they focus all their energy and being a great chiropractor or whatever it is they're doing, but maybe they don't. Business isn't their strong suit. So
I guess
you can only learn that in the real world.
They're sending Joe out the door with the knowledge how to make people feel better and, more importantly, not hurt someone.
Exactly.
So I guess in that sense, that's more significant than being able to have a bill insurance company.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's still a piece of the puzzle that gets left out, and that's probably the same story for whatever field you're in.
Yeah, exactly. I would say their job was, and I knew this going in, but maybe it got lost in translation for other students, or maybe they feel the same way I do. I don't know, but I knew that the schooling's purpose was to teach me how to be a doctor, pass my board exams, and be able to take care of patients.
Right.
They weren't focused on teaching me how to run a business. That's something you need to learn on your own, and something there's post-education opportunities and seminars to take and stuff, but you get lucky sometimes and you become an apprentice, basically. You find a mentor, they teach you some things, and you utilize those and add some of your own style, and you can come up with a business.
And like you mentioned before, you're working under a mentor or someone who you're working with, and me and Corey would say, if you want to learn how to fix a car, ask a mechanic. It's like we say, don't ask your poor friends how to be rich. If you want to learn how to be a chiropractor and run that business, you have to seek out the appropriate help.
Exactly.
Because there's always somebody who's done it before you.
Always.
And they usually want to help. So just ask them.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't ever take that step.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I'll just say, take the chiropractor or whatever skill, mechanic, whatever school you're going to, you take that out of it. I mean, I went to a business school, and I can tell you some of the professors never owned a business before, and they're trying to teach me about business. And but don't get me wrong, there was quite a few professors that were very successful in business, and you can tell by what they talked about and what they told you that they knew the real world. But a lot of the academic professors, they just know that textbook academic side of it, but they have no real world experience, and they're trying to teach you about business. And so, it doesn't even business schools aren't, have professors that really aren't well business first, and they're trying to teach you. So,
that's the story that you're getting,
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds all well and good on paper, but it's real world practice. Robert Kiyosaki talks about all the time. It's the real world practice that matters. It doesn't really matter what goes on in the classroom, And
what's the important thing with all that? It's you're never going to learn it unless you just do it. There's never a right time. There's never a right time to buy your first piece of property. There's never a right time to open your own practice. There's always some excuse. I'm too young. I don't have enough money. I don't know what I'm doing. You just say fuck it and you do it. And that's it.
Exactly.
You just do it. So where do you see, in 5 years from now, where are you hoping to be with the practice? You think you'll have multiple locations? You think you'll be growing the business?
Personally, I don't know if I'll ever want more than one office. I like being a little smaller, maybe not as many people working underneath me, maybe like one other chiro and a physical therapist or two. I do see myself working with a lot of athletes, and I would actually like to be like college staff, maybe being a team physician for a college.
Gotcha.
I think that would be fun, and my profession allows me to utilize another area than just an office to do my craft. So by going to the school and working with the athletes once a week, I could even work in indoor facilities where they're training over the winter time and stuff. That chiropractic degree, coupled with my exercise science degree, could allow me to maybe even start implementing strength and conditioning programs geared towards injury prevention rather than just being the best athlete, the strongest, but let's make you also the most efficient and the less chance of getting hurt.
You know what? I'm glad you said that, because I asked you kind of a loaded question saying, like, are you going to have more than one branch? And you said no. So, like, and Corey, tell me, is this what you heard too? Joe's going to be the man in his space, you know, when it comes to sports medicine and chiropractic. In that space, Joe's going to be the guy. So instead of going in 10 different directions and trying to just get as big as possible, he's going to be the absolute best at what it is he does. You know, carve out a niche for himself kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Right.
So, and also, too, that'll leave you nimble enough, because I know you're an entrepreneur like us. You know, if you want to take advantage of some real estate deals or another business that an opportunity arises, you know, you don't have 10 locations. You have one. You have time and
exactly. I've never seen myself to be a one source of income.
Right.
Ever. So
I think that's dangerous for anybody.
I think it is too, even though maybe, you know, my profession, some people may see that it can become an income that can be lived on its own, but anything can happen. I could one day go out and break my hand and never be able to do my craft ever again. So I need to have a way to be able to have an income when that may happen or not.
We talk about that too. It's like most people don't realize how close they are to financial ruin. They're like, they're one pink slip away. You know, they get fired for something stupid that whatever happens, they lose their job, and people have nothing saved. And it's part of that is because the way the economy is, and we can talk about how the Federal Reserve robs people of their purchasing power. But the fact is, most people don't have anything saved, and so losing their job or getting hurt on the job or whatever could mean that you're wiped out. And so I think it's so important for people to have multiple streams of income, whether that's through a business, a side business, maybe a regular job, if that's what you want to do. You know, just something, because you can't rely on one source of income forever. I think it's a dangerous way to go about it, you know?
I think it's a very old school way of thinking. And I think that's the way the country used to be run, was to get a good job, make good money. Goods weren't that expensive. You know, you work your whole life. You get what you need, you retire, you have a little bit of money in the bank to live on, and you're good. But it's not like that anymore. You need to start managing your own finances, managing your own incomes, and figure out ways to, save is a tricky word. To me, save doesn't mean put money somewhere and not spend it. Save means to me figure out a way to have your money
put it to work,
make more money for you.
Right.
And then that is truly saving.
Yeah.
So.
But, you know, years ago, that school of thought worked, though. Like, you could take your money, put it in the bank, and there was interest where you were getting money back, and it made sense to leave your money in savings, but it's not the case anymore, you know? So you kind of have to get creative on the way you're saving.
And one of the problems is the 401k. And a lot of people think that this is their saving grace. You know, you put money away every month, and they think that, oh, well, you know, I'm set. When I retire, I'm going to ride off into the sunset. I have all this money. And, you know, what if you were ready to retire in 2007, 2008 rolls around, and you just lost 50% of your portfolio overnight, within weeks?
Yeah.
It's like that was devastating. There's people who were wanting to retire then who are still working now because they blindly trusted, you know, having a 401k. And I'm not saying a 401k is bad. I'm just saying I don't think it should be the sole thing you rely upon.
Yeah, it should be up to the people to do the research and find out where to put their money. And we talked about it last week, where, you know, people they spend more time picking out a TV than they do on where they're putting their money. And, you know, you trade something you can never get back, your time, for cash. So, I mean, just shoving it handing it over to somebody else to gamble for you. It's just like, it's insane to me. I can't, but I guess it's the way it's packaged and sold to people that it just seems like a good idea, to put in a 401k. And I think it started off as a good idea. It started off as a great idea, and I think it meant well, but it's just turned into something that's completely dangerous. And I feel bad for the people that have their money there.
Yeah, most things the government does started out with good intentions, and they don't ever seem to understand the repercussions of what they're doing. So, but anyway, so that's like the message we're trying to get out is that, you got to do stuff like me, Joe, and Corey if you want to really insulate yourself from potential financial ruin. You have to have multiple streams of income. You have to be self-reliant. You got to have your own source of income. Because if you're relying on a job forever, it's a dangerous thing to do, in my opinion, in this day and age. So.
And one thing, I mean, it's a little off topic, but one thing with the problem with such a sophisticated society like that we live in, we have electric, we have a certain way of doing things. We go to the food store, we don't hunt. It's like, we can be affected so easily if the smallest thing can happen. Electric goes out tomorrow. You saw what happened with Hurricane Sandy. I mean, people are going nuts after like 2 days of no electricity, fighting at gas stations. So I mean, it goes back to being self-reliant. Like, you need multiple streams of income. You got to be prepared for stuff like that. I don't know. That's what makes me think about all the being wealthy. It's not about accumulating money. It's about being protected and being able to, survive. That's what life's about, right?
That's very true.
So let's change gears a little bit. I know you just told us that your major in school was health and exercise science.
Yes.
And as such, I've always known that if I have questions about nutrition or certain things, I always talk to you about it. And I don't know. It just seems to nobody knows what it is they're putting in their body. They don't know what they should or shouldn't be putting in their body. They just kind of go out and eat whatever. And nobody gets it. Like, nobody knows the carbohydrate from the fat. They read on a newspaper or something, carbohydrates are bad. Why? They don't understand. So maybe we can get into some of that a little bit because it's so important. It's your own body, and nobody knows how to take care of it.
Yeah, I think mainstream media really just dictates what the public eats.
Yeah.
You see a commercial for Oreos or you see a commercial for a cereal, and you assume that you're supposed to eat cereal for breakfast, and that's all well and good. I understand, but I actually watched a small documentary a few weeks ago on cereal, cornflakes in particular, and Kellogg's, the owner was actually a doctor, Dr. Kellogg. He developed cornflakes. Originally, they did not taste very good at all, and they were just filled with grains that were meant to sustain a farmer for a day's worth of work before lunch. So the original theory behind it was to sustain a person who had to do a lot of physical labor for 4 or 5 hours, and that's why it was loaded with carbs. Nowadays, we don't get up and do that. Maybe 20% of the society gets up and has a physical job like that for 5 hours.
Right.
Why are you loading up on 75, 80 grams of carbs when you wake up in the morning to go sit at a desk and type all day?
Right.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's what the media tells you is what you're supposed to do. So you assume, and I guess that boils all the way down to what we were talking to before, even about money and everything. You do what everyone tells you or you think you're supposed to do instead of taking the time to research and learn for yourself.
And not only, I was going to say exactly what he said. It was they load up on carbs to go to work, but it's like then people get frustrated and then they just say, "Oh, I'm just going to cut carbs out totally," and they don't realize that's also detrimental. Like you're starving your body of what it needs. So it's like you kind of have to. And to learn nutrition really doesn't take much. Like, read a few articles, you can kind of understand what a carbohydrate does. And there's people out there that you can ask advice from. I mean, I'm willing to give free advice. I'm sure Joe is. You can pay somebody. I mean, it's like the information's out there. So when you starve your body of what it needs, you start going the other way. Where now you're becoming unhealthy. You're getting sick. It's affecting your immune system. People either eat shit and load up, or they get frustrated and stop eating, and neither of them is good. You got to find somewhere in the middle. And I think it's also key to read ingredients of what you're eating. Just about, I think everything in the middle of the store is shit. On the outside of the store, in the frozen section with eggs or produce, the meats and stuff, those are, good to eat, obviously. But people just buy these cool-looking packages, these granola bars that look so healthy, and they say natural this, no fat, but they don't look at it. What the fuck is in it? It's all shit. It's literally, if you Google you Google the ingredients. I did it one time, like for half a package, and all of it came up in images as powders. Like that was ingredients. They were just powders. I don't get it. It's just.
So if someone was going to change their diet today and they wanted to do like one thing, and I have an idea in my head of what it is to make their diet instantly more healthy. What's one thing they could add or cut or do whatever to just make themselves instantly healthier?
My advice to anybody is what Corey was talking about. Try to eat foods that have the least amount of ingredients you can find.
So like real food.
Exactly. Real meat, real carbs.
Not processed bullshit.
Nothing processed. I mean, processed foods, we all eat them. I eat them from time to time.
But
for the most part, my advice would be
try to enjoy life.
The least amount of ingredients per meal as you can. And an example would be chicken breast with brown rice and some peppers cut up in it. And that's going to be more than enough proteins, fats, good carbs, and a lot of vitamins and minerals that you'll need to sustain for your day.
One thing I was thinking of, what's your thoughts on sugar?
Sugar
well, that's
okay in very small quantities. And when I say sugar is okay in small quantities, I mean added sugar. Sugars that are already in foods, natural foods, not ice creams and cookies, and those aren't natural. Those are added sugars.
Wait, ice cream doesn't grow on a tree?
No, it doesn't. It's surprising, but it does not. Sugar's okay. Minimize how much you use and try to find the purest you can use of it. There's a lot of forms out there nowadays of sugar that are a little bit better. There's organic honeys. There's raw sugars. There's natural sweeteners that come from plants. But other than that, do your best to eliminate added, especially processed sugars to your diet.
Right. Or what do you think?
That's exactly what I was going to actually say. Was one thing you can do. Well, maybe you can turn it to two. I'll explain both. But like, is one, cut the sugars out of your life, and obviously, as Joe said, I mean they're okay. Your body's meant to digest sugars, but not the amounts that we're having and the highly processed ones. I'd cut sugar out and add some protein, because protein, it's not just for building muscle. I mean, it helps your body, your brain function better. It helps your immune system. It helps your liver. I mean, they're finding all different new stuff on protein of what it does to your body. It's an enzyme that just speeds up recovery. And that's anything. It just helps your body run more efficiently. And people, kind of neglect protein a little bit, I think. And the reason I'd cut sugar out, I think the daily amount recommended is like 20 grams a day for women and like 35 for men. Like, it's not a lot of sugar. To me, that's just orange soda. To me, orange is just orange soda. It's just processed sugar and,
Eat an orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reason to eat a lot of fruit anyway. Am I wrong? Or...
Well, actually, the thing is with fruit, people often get like confused. They think that, I don't want to eat sugar, so I'm going to avoid apples and stuff. You look at the glycemic index, saying it wrong, glycemic index, and the glycemic load. So, I mean, even though the apple's very sugary, it has a low load. Like, it doesn't spike your insulin like a cookie would, because there's fiber in it. It's the way your body digests it. So, I mean, fruits and vegetables are great. They seem like they have high sugar, and they do, but the way your body processes that is a lot different than eating ice cream and cookies. So, I mean, I'd say go for all the apples you want. It's not going to put on body fat.
For a second, when it comes to carbohydrates, should people be focusing on eating things lower on the glycemic index, like sweet potatoes and oatmeal, and avoiding things like processed, like bread and stuff like that?
Exactly.
Yes.
We want to look at the load, too.
Exactly. The reasoning behind it is probably the number one disease right now that is really affecting a lot of people's lives is diabetes.
Right.
And that's due to insulin spikes within your body. Your body can't handle constant spikes from high levels of high glycemic foods. Over time, your body will stop responding to the spikes and will no longer store those carbs in the appropriate places like your muscle. It'll just start storing them as fat. Right. So you want to eat foods that are lower on that scale, which is easily done if we go back to just eating foods that have less ingredients, because those foods don't have a potential to spike as much. And I know before I made mentioned about brown rice. And when I say brown rice, I don't mean the minute rice that you boil water, throw it in, turn it off. And
you're talking about the bag of brown rice.
I'm talking you got to cook this stuff for 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's got nutrients to it. It hasn't been stripped of any of its nutrients. It hasn't been processed that much. Yeah. That's the kind of rice you eat because that is a lower on the scale.
Do you think that's part of the problem with people and their diets is that if you want to have a good meal of chicken breast and brown rice, that could take you 35, 40 minutes to prepare. When you can stop at McDonald's for $1 and buy a cheeseburger right now full of God knows what?
I think it's just an excuse.
Just an excuse?
I think our world just got very lazy. And I think it's very easy to incorporate 30 minutes a day to do some food prep for a couple days, a week. It doesn't take that long to cook food, and you can be cooking food while you're getting set up for the next thing you need to do the next day, whether it's take your clothes out or, fold the laundry. You can throw a couple chicken breasts on the stove and let them cook for a little bit. I don't think it's people think they don't have the time. I think it's people don't want to make the time.
Right.
Which is the same attitude when it comes towards exercising or looking up the right foods to eat. I don't think people want to use their time for that. I think they'd rather use it for other activities.
No, all good points. So I guess basically it boils down to if you're shopping, like Corey said, I think, on the outside of the supermarket in the produce section, you're buying eggs, real brown rice, stuff like that. You probably can do pretty okay without really knowing too much about what it is.
Yeah, I'd say so. What are you using for?
I was just going to say, I think if people just cut the processed sugar out, you notice a big, of course you should add some exercise too, but you notice a big difference in the way you feel. Because the constant insulin spikes really fuck with your brain chemistry too. So you're going from tired to awake to tired. It's just really, it throws you off. So it's like, if you can manage to cut the processed sugars out and just keep it to the natural sugars from fruits and vegetables and, things like that, you're going to feel different too. And if you look at the big picture, all this diabetes, the heart disease, cancer, these aren't normal human behaviors. Throughout time, cancer wasn't. There was cancer all through medieval times and Native Americans. Not everybody had cancer. I think these cells are mutating for a reason. And I think, and it all started with when our diets kind of started to change. So it's we're putting these poisonous material. They are poison because actually high sugar levels is a liver toxin. It's not good for you. And we're putting all this shit in our body. And I think that's why our bodies are starting to do these weird things. And like Joe was saying, with your pancreas starts to not respond right. And then, as you end up with diabetes. And it's just I think we go back to just eating natural foods. That's how we got here. That's how our brains developed. We started killing animals and eating protein and eating vegetables and nuts and grains. That's how we got here healthy. It wasn't until up in recent history with all the shit food that, we started having these issues.
Two things on that. One is that it is easy, I can see how people get off track, because let's say you work at an office job. You go into the office that day, there's a breakfast spread. What do they have out? Bagels and muffins? You know what I mean?
And donuts.
And then let's get lunch. What do you get? Pizza. You know what I mean? So, and what do you have at night? So it's all that stuff all around you all the time.
Yeah, but again, I think it's just being prepared.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say anyone needs to do what I do. I prepare my lunches the night before every day.
Right.
I make rice ahead of time, and I usually put coconut oil in it, and then I'll cook some form of meat, whether it's a lean beef or chicken sausages or chicken breast, chicken thighs, piece of fish, depending on what I just feel like that day. And maybe even throw in some vegetables like peppers.
Something green, right?
Yeah, something green. And if I don't have anything green with lunch that day, I make sure I get it with dinner.
Eggs are also great. Super easy.
Eggs are phenomenal.
You don't have to, they'll take you 5 minutes to cook.
Exactly.
And I guess we could also, don't be afraid of egg yolks. Everyone thinks that.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing.
Yeah. That's not good. Plus, there's a lot of good amino acids and healthy fats in egg yolks that
yes.
You should be eating.
Most people think that eating fat will actually make them fat. That's false. It's eating carbs that will be stored as fat that make you fat. The fats we eat, in particular saturated and unsaturated fats. Trans-saturated fats are processed fats. Those are very bad. You should stay away from those. But saturated and unsaturated fats, which come from animal proteins, eggs, foods like that, and unsaturated fats are typically oils, and along those lines. are good for you. Our body needs a certain amount of fat for energy to make hormones. I read an article the other day that showed that men should actually be getting more saturated fats in their diet to help increase their testosterone production, which thus will increase muscle mass and increase fat burning properties, which is the opposite of what everyone thinks. So
what are your thoughts?
Not only that,
Yeah, Corey.
I was going to add one quick thing, was just it also it goes to your blood and carries nutrients to your muscles and the rest of your body. It helps lubricate joints. Like, there's just so many different things that fats is such an important part of our body, how it operates. And so are carbs. But it's like you said, like, fats don't make you fat. It's I mean, of course, if you eat enough of them, eventually your body's going to turn into fat. But it's like it's the highly processed sugary carbs that are really that's the culprit. But what were you going to say, Plum?
Our bodies, you tell me if this is correct, our bodies naturally want to use fat as fuel.
yes, that is the primary source of energy is fat. It's got the most energy dense per molecule macronutrient we can eat.
Does that relate to the fact that there's 9 calories per gram of fat?
Yes.
And only 4?
Exactly.
4
That's why it's more calories to eat them, because we can get more energy out of them. Obviously, our body will break down carbs faster for energy, but that's quick energy. Fat is
Right.
more sustained energy, and it's what our body wants to use. And believe it or not, protein is a very big energy molecule as well, which was not something people ever thought. They thought that protein was pure muscle building, like restoring, regenesis. But it's actually used for energy a lot too.
Right.
And like Corey said before, to eat more protein, our body doesn't really mind if you get some excess protein in, because it doesn't want to go through the process of storing it as fat, because it is such an intensive process. It uses so much energy to do that. It makes more sense when you have excess protein to just burn it as energy.
Right.
So to add more protein, less processed foods, decrease your sugar, that's going to overall make you healthier.
And what are your thoughts about, and Corey, you too, about this the paleo diets, or really any type of low-carb diet where you're eating high-fat, high-protein diets, no carbohydrates? You think that's good, bad?
I don't like the word diet. I never have. I think it should just be a lifestyle.
Talk about that the other day.
You choose. I think you should be smart enough to understand that if you drank a 6-pack of beer the night before, maybe it's not necessary to wake up the next morning and eat a bunch of pancakes and French toast for breakfast. Maybe you start your day with a lean protein and some fats,
Some eggs, yeah.
and let your body burn through all the excess carbs that you put in on the day before. So to say, I'm never going to eat this, I'm never going to eat that, I only eat these things, I think that's insane. I think you just, a few rules to follow, which we've outlined here a few times, and I think instead of calling it a diet, it's just what you eat.
Right. Right. You're not locking yourself into one particular set of rules. It's
Exactly.
more of a general thing.
Exactly what Joe said. I don't like the term "I'm on a diet." Like, we're all on diets. We all diet. That's our meal. So it's like your diet should consist of X, Y, Z. All clean, healthy foods. And you don't have to eat 6 meals a day with 8 ounces of chicken with that. Not everybody's eating that much food. You don't have to. But so how I feel about on a diet though, the only reason I see a use for like these paleo diets, or maybe like say you're on a diet that's some kind of cleanse, like maybe you want to experiment and try a new type of diet, or maybe you just want to cut a lot of fat. So maybe you go to a diet where you kind of same things like a bodybuilding diet where you're low on the carbs, you're doing a lot of cardio, you're burning the fat off. Like if you're trying to go on a diet to just kind of cut some weight, or you have a purpose for it, that's great. But I'm not a big fan of the whole, when people say, "Oh, I'm going on a diet for a couple months." Well, I mean, you're giving yourself a timeline. So what's going to happen after 2 months? You just go back to eating shit because your diet's over? I mean, it shouldn't be referred to as that. It is your diet. You got to make a lifestyle change and just start eating these foods. And of course, you go out to dinner. You want to have a cookie here. I mean, you got to live life. We're human. But I mean, your everyday food should be just clean foods. And I'm telling you, you'll feel a lot better. You really do. You feel healthier and just you're more awake and clean.
Right.
So
it's just about actually taking the time to educate yourself just a little bit, to know kind of what's going on, and just be aware of what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, exactly. I think people are just not in tune with their bodies anymore.
Right.
You should be doing what your body kind of tells you to do. Your body's very smart. It knows when you need to sleep. It knows when you need to eat. It knows when you need to drink water. It understands all these things. And if you just take a little bit of time to assess your lifestyle, whether it is something similar to what the three of us do, where we do heavy resistance training 5-6 days a week, we throw some cardio in here and there, our diets are going to be completely different than the marathon runner that runs 50, 60, 70 miles a week, just because that's the type of exercise they like.
Right.
Your diet's like tailored to your life, what you do on a daily basis. And I think that if people just took the time to understand that, they would understand how to eat a little better.
Right. And I necessarily don't even think like that desk jobs are natural for humans to do. I think we should all be doing touch of crafts, like, Joe, your chiropractor, or, Jesse's a welder. I think we should all have certain skills, and I think as a society it should ran. I think that's how America was built, because, people just had we were a very productive country at one point, but it's like now we turn into all these cubicle and paper pushing jobs, and they're not natural. But, that's where it is now. The job you have, the job you have. Maybe if you plan on to sit at the desk for the first half of the morning, don't grab that cereal. Like you said, you should have a leaner diet in the morning, a leaner meal in the morning if you're going to be sitting for a while. And maybe eat carbs like leading up to your workout and after, and then kind of maybe taper off at the end of the night. Like you said, you should tailor your diet to what you're doing every day, so you're not fucking your body up. And like you said, you should know your body. So if you wake up with a headache one day, or if you have diarrhea, you should know why. Okay, I didn't drink enough water, or I ate this, I did that. Like, stuff shouldn't just happen to you. Some people say, oh, I have a stomach ache. Well, why? I don't know. Well, aren't you curious? I mean, I don't normally get stomach aches. Like, it's not natural for us to feel shitty, Something's wrong.
All right, all good stuff there. So let's change gears one more time, unless either one of you two have something you want to get into. But
everybody's shifting gears.
What?
They're really shifting gears. And gear shifting.
You got a lot of gears in that new Charger.
Is that a manual? Or automatic?
It actually doesn't come in a manual with a Charger.
Oh, it doesn't? No, fucking no.
Plus, I can't really drive a manual at work because half the time I'm driving, I'm lefty, so I'm holding the wheel with this hand. I got a yellow pad on the seat next to me. I'm writing stuff down as I'm driving past buildings. I'm dialing the phone on this hand. It's dangerous, but So there was a time when I had a manual. I had a Subaru and a Mitsubishi that were both manual, and I'd be eating, making a turn, changing gears, and talking on the phone at the same time. It's just I'm not proud of that. That's not a good thing to be doing. So
yeah, kids, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that the car's an automatic, so that's one less thing I have to worry about driving around. But
What were you say? Go ahead, shift to your next gear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was going to touch on fitness because I know the three of us are all into that kind of thing, and then at the end, Joe, we'll let Joe plug how you can get in touch with him if you want to talk about chiropractic stuff, or if you want to, or if you need treatment or whatever. But so you lift just like Corey and I do, and maybe it's not great perspective because the three of us all do the same thing.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty biased on here right now.
Pretty much all bodybuilding type workouts, as opposed to powerlifting or running or CrossFit or all this other types of stuff that's out there now.
I've been mixing it up a little bit, like changing the rep range like dramatically, going from like 50 reps down to like not all the same exercise. I might want to do one exercise, very, very high reps, very fast, quick motions, and then maybe I'll do another workout where I'm doing sets from like 8 to 10, 12, whatever. I've been mixing it up. So
that is, and Joe, I'm sure you'll agree, that's pretty much typical bodybuilding logic for hypertrophy. If you want the muscles to actually grow, they say keep it in an 8 to 12 rep range. I've been doing what Corey's saying too lately. I've been doing a lot higher reps, starting at 20 reps, working my way down to my last set, maybe 6 or 8, kind of doing 4 or 5 sets. Is there any advantage to doing those high reps, or what is the advantage? And maybe just getting that pump and that burn, as opposed to really just keeping the reps lower.
So when you work out, you're training your muscles and your nervous system. So there are theories behind doing higher reps with minimal to no weight at very fast speeds can actually heighten your nervous system and get it better at doing its job. It functions faster, it functions better, it's making more synapses, and it fires with the muscles more efficiently. Which they say if you can add a few of those into your workouts, it'll actually improve your hypertrophy training, which is the typical 8 to 12 rep range, higher weights trying to build and tire the muscles.
Will that also affect your strength training too?
It should, because strength is neurological and muscular because the muscles function from the nervous system.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if I have 135 pounds on the bar doing squats, and I'm just going up and down, and I'm doing 40 reps nonstop, just bang,
yes.
bang, 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 that can actually translate into having a better 1 rep max on a squat.
Yes, it should.
Because the neurological connection to get those muscles to fire.
Exactly. I mean, 135 is even considered enough to add hypertrophy into the mix.
So even if it was just the bar.
Just the bar. Typically, I'll start like a chest day on a bench, which I don't like doing bench a lot. But if I do it, bar, as many reps as I can do as fast as I can in like 30 seconds.
Right.
Just to fire all those synapses, get them going. The same theory behind maybe doing like 5 minutes of cardio to warm your body up. I think you need to warm your nervous system up to sustain a load that you're going to put on it.
Corey, what do you think?
Yeah, well, everything obviously Joe said, but
what he said.
What I was going to say was I'm actually reading. We'll link it below too. It's a pretty cool book. I would check it out. It's by Ori Hofmeckler. It's like Minimum Fat, Maximum Muscle, and he talks about building a powerful muscle. So a lot of people focus, like you said, powerlifting, focus on more on strength. Whereas like a boxer, his muscle is going to be more about speed and velocity, but probably less strength, high endurance, and opposite with a powerlifter bodybuilder. So you kind of, when you're doing these different activities, you're kind of focusing on one aspect of the muscle, but there's a few to look at. It's velocity, speed, strength, elasticity, and endurance, like just kind of 5 aspects of the muscle. So I think it's important because you want to build overall a superior, powerful muscle, and I think that's the more efficient muscle. So I think I like to add it in just because I kind of like to hit, when I do the high reps, I'm really kind of shooting as fast as I can up, just to kind of get that speed. And then maybe another workout I'm doing really heavy to work on the strength. So I just kind of try to hit it from every angle. And ever since I've been doing it, I kind of like it. I get a little more sore. I mean, it's just different. Maybe I'll get bored of this for a while and I'll go to something else. But I like mixing in pull-ups and dips and doing bodyweight stuff and then doing cleans or, just kind of always keeping the body guessing. And that's how, I think you're going to build more muscle.
What are your thoughts on doing a bro split where you might just do one body part per day? Chest days, Monday's International Chest Day, right? That whole idea versus doing they call it PPL, push-pull legs, where you're on a 3-day rotation, or I think me and Corey actually have a 4-day split where it's kind of somewhere in between, usually 2 body parts per day. We'll do 1 body part per day on a heavy day, such as back or legs. What do you guys think about one versus the other?
I personally do the bro split. I do 1 muscle per day. I guess you call it that. It's a little different. My purpose of my training right now is I'm trying to build up leg strength and size and maintain my size in the rest of my body. So I lift chest once a week, back once a week, arms together, tris and bis once a week, and usually shoulders once a week. I do abs 2 to 3 times a week, and I'll do legs twice a week.
Gotcha.
So I guess it really just comes all the way back to what we talked about before. As long as you have a goal and you know what your goal is, make your plan something that can accomplish that goal.
Right. If
your goal is to be able to squat 315 pounds for 8 reps, but you never squat, you're never going to reach that goal.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. So,
what about you, Corey? Are you still doing a 4-day split?
Yeah, I kind of just mix them up. I just kind of do whatever. And the cool thing about working out is they like, as long it's really the work you're putting on the muscle. If you're training the muscle hard and you're creating those fiber tears and like you're putting the muscle under stress, something's going to happen. So if you go to the gym, you can do any split you want. You can do what Joe's talking about. You can do what Anthony's talking about. I'm kind of the same thing as Anthony, where it's kind of like one body part a week, or I'll mix up and put biceps with chest or something. But it's like, if you're going in there just putting work on the muscle and on the outside of the gym, which is very important, you're giving your body enough nutrition, your body's going to change. That's just, it's impossible for it not to. When you put that stress on your body, it has to do something. And as long as you're feeding yourself, hopefully it's going to be losing fat and gaining some muscle tone.
Yeah, we didn't mention that, but that's the other thing. There's a lot of people who go to the gym, they don't eat anything. They have the diet we just talked about earlier, the McDonald's diet. They don't have any clue of what they're putting in your body. And when you're lifting, you could argue that your sleep and your diet are as important as the actual training. Because without those two things, you're not growing at all.
Yeah. And I'd say the other problem with working out is, like we talked about before, people spend a lot of time researching a television. But when it comes to supplementation, people just go out and buy whatever looks cool or whatever's on sale or whatever. I think that you need to take time to look at those too, because supplements have a lot of additives to them. Is it going to be possible to eliminate all additives of unnatural flavoring and dyes and stuff from your supplement list? Yes, you can do it. It is very expensive.
Right.
And often does not taste very good. But if you do your research on your brands and your companies and look into the individual ingredients and try to figure out, okay, well, I'm taking in a lot of extra additives in this one. Let me buy another one that has none, and mix the two together to minimize how many of those things I'm getting, then I think you'd be better off. I think everyone just needs to take some time and do research on the things that really do matter in life. It doesn't matter what TV refreshes the fastest or who's got the coolest GPS for their car or which cell phone can take the best selfie. That stuff doesn't matter. Let's research what's going on with our bodies,
right?
What we should be eating, how often we should be working out, how much we should be sleeping, and the things that we're just putting into it. So I think if people did that, overall health and wellness, and which all translates into success in your personal and business life, would be better.
I think that's, Corey, you want to add on to that?
No. Yeah, I'll say one thing is just, and the job is never done. Like, just because you find something new, it doesn't mean you stop researching. Like, I have maybe one protein shake a day, maybe every 2 days. I kind of just throw it in after a workout if I don't have any food ready, protein shake. So, I mean, but then I was looking at it the other day because I read an article and it was saying that actually some dog protein, like supplements you give your animals, is better than some of ours protein powders, because a lot of it's like animal byproducts and it's kind of a bunch of shit too. So actually, I started last night, but I couldn't find a brand I liked. I'm looking into hemp proteins because I figure I'm going to get all my proteins from a shake. I don't really want meat proteins in a shake anyway. It's not really effective to me. So I figured let me go get it from chia seeds and hemp seeds and whatever it is in this hemp protein shake. Because it's not a diet replacement. You don't count it as a meal. Just kind of add it in a supplement. That's why that's a supplement. But that's a change I'm making. Like, it's always something. You just look at what you're doing. Say, okay, how can I make this better? How can I make that better? Like, there should never be an end game. You just should be trying to be better every day. And it doesn't have to be crazy drastic. Just keep doing your research. Keep putting better foods in your body, better supplements, and you'll be surprised at how good you feel.
And on the supplements, what is stuff people actually really can use? Because there's a million different products, and there's only a couple that are really important. And tell me if you want anything. A protein powder, which is only needed to supplement your diet already. You can get enough protein from chicken and steak and fish. That's great. If you want to get some extra, a protein powder is a way to do it. A branched chain amino acid supplement, maybe fish oil. Would you agree with those, and a creatine?
Those are very good. Those are very basic. Again, it's going to come down to what you're doing with your body. Something that I think everybody should be taking, especially in the winter, to go with the fish oil is vitamin D. I think that's a huge problem going on right now, and in the wintertime, you're not getting any sunlight. Your body's not making any vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important in hormones. It's very important in your body. It's very important for depression. People get that seasonal depression.
Yeah.
I think you should add vitamin D into your diet, especially if you're feeling a little sick. Everyone gets sick and they think you take a bunch of vitamin C, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, vitamin D is more of a component in our overall health than vitamin C on its own.
And what about multivitamins? Total bullshit?
Multivitamins, I guess I would have to say, again, do your research. There are a lot of companies out there that make multivitamins that have only vitamins that are necessary in there in smaller doses to supplement the diet that you should be taking. But there are some bigger brands that add a lot of fillers.
Just to make the label long, right?
Exactly, to add a whole bunch of extra things that you don't need. So it might cost you more to get a quality multivitamin, but multivitamins should be to supplement a diet.
Right.
And as we talked about before, if you shop on the outside of the grocery store, I don't see a need for a multivitamin. I could see a need for maybe extra B vitamins certain days, extra D vitamin, especially in the winter, extra C when you're not feeling so good. But every day, I would have to agree with some fish oil, some vitamin D, and then based on your workouts,
maybe creatine.
Maybe some creatine, BCAAs, and a big one for men and women, but I know they really recommend it for men a lot who work out a lot, is ZMA.
ZMA. What is that?
Zinc, magnesium, and B6 is the other. I don't know what the A really stands for. It doesn't stand for B6, but B6 is the other nutrient in there. Together, that compound is a very anabolic compound. You take it before bed. Magnesium's a very good de-stressor for your body, so it'll help you fall asleep. Zinc's very good for your overall health and wellness. And B vitamins are good for any function in the body uses a B vitamin.
Got it.
So it'll help your body restore muscle mass, stay anabolic while you're sleeping, and keep you recovering, which is what you need to do if you're working out quite a bit.
Good stuff.
I wanted to add one thing. We were talking about the supplements. Very important thing you said. You mentioned zinc, and how important that is to actually everything always goes back to the immune system. But how important that is to the immune system, brain function. I actually do take a zinc supplement, but it's 50 milligram pill, so actually breaking it in half is you can have too much zinc and really fucking you gotta be careful. But you start getting headaches, diarrhea, then you should probably lower it. But all that stuff is important. And omega-3s, I was just going to say, if you're looking for a omega-3, make sure it's high in the DHA and the EPA fats that are in it, because a lot of them you see over the counter say high omega-3 milligrams, but if you look at those two, those are lower. And this, to me, I don't know what the hell the other half the milligrams are. It doesn't tell you. So I just do your research, like you said, do your research on that. But one last thing was with the sun. The sun actually, I was kind of looking at this recently. Our body we take in the sun. Our body actually makes vitamin D out of the cholesterol that's in our body. So it's like a double whammy. Like you get taking the bad cholesterol out, and your body's turning to vitamin D, and it needs sunlight to do this. But they tell you to stay out of the sun, wear sunglasses, wear sunblock. And like my thing is, Native Americans didn't have sunglasses. They didn't have sunblock. Like you need the sun. The sun is part of so interwoven in our body. It actually helps repair the retina. There's so many things the sun does that we should. So I was going to say, be conscious of how much sun you're getting. Like you said, in the winter, you do get a little less. It's probably why you feel a little down, get the winter blues. But make sure you get enough sun, because that'll even make everything a lot better too. So I just want to add that, and don't believe everything you hear on the radio that they say sun's bad for you, because it's not.
So now that everybody knows that Dr. Joe knows what the hell he's talking about, if somebody does want treatment, wants to switch chiropractors, wants to whatever, how can they get in touch with you? And where are you working at right now?
So right now I'm just an associate in Jackson, New Jersey. For now, I would say if you want to reach out to me, I would reach out on these guys' Twitters or your Facebook page.
We'll put you in touch.
And you guys will get in touch with me if need be. I'll answer any questions I can. Just to let anyone know ahead of time, anything that has to do with pharmaceuticals and over-the-counter drugs are out of my scope. I cannot discuss those. I cannot talk to you about them.
Yeah.
I didn't learn them. I have a basic knowledge from my own research, but my license does not allow me to discuss those with any patients. And as long as if you want to see me as a chiropractor, I could give you the information of where I'm working now, or if you can hold out a little while and wait till the ball gets rolling, could possibly be in my own place in this short few months.
Well, we're certainly going to have you back on as you're going through the process of getting your own place, because that's going to be something exciting that we definitely want to share with people, how you're actually doing it, because a lot of people talk about stuff, no one does anything. So we'll have you back on that at that time, and we'll have some more information about where you're going to be. But
sounds great.
In the meantime, we can put people in touch with you if they have any questions, and
yes, of course.
And we'll certainly have you back in the future.
That sounds good. Thanks, guys. It was great.
Yeah.